I did not want to miss this opportunity to briefly thank a number of people who helped our office craft this piece of legislation, including Police Chief Jones, Maryland Delegate Leslie Lopez, as well as State Senator Susan Lee. I also want to thank from the Office of Legislative Oversight, Dr. Elaine Bonner-Tompkins, Dr. Theo Holtz, and from our central staff, Susan Farag and Christine Wellens. I also want to thank Lillian Cruz from my office, who brought this issue to my attention in the first place, and worked with a number of key stakeholders, including Brady United, Marylanders to Prevent Gun Violence, Critical Issues Forum for Montgomery County, and Moms Demand Action, Montgomery County chapter. This issue is important and it is growing. It is alarming that it falls into a gray area of both federal and state policy. And so everything that we can do to prevent these weapons of destruction from getting in the hands of those people who utilize them for destruction, and especially our children and youth, is an important step forward. I want to thank all of my colleagues for unanimously co-sponsoring this particular piece of legislation. This will give both our police department and state's attorney's office another tool in the toolbox to address issues of gun violence, and do so in a way that helps keep all of our residents safe, especially those communities that are disproportionately impacted by gun violence, especially within our minority communities. So I'll note one final thing, Mr. President. There is a corresponding piece of state legislation that some of which would preempt our county legislation, but this has moved forward now almost 3 years in Annapolis without passing. Our hope is that it does pass this time around, but this legislation will protect us in the event that it does not, to be able to continue to protect our community. And thank you, Mr. Council President, for your support of this bill as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for your leadership. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Glass.
Yes.
Mr. Glass votes yes. Mr. Tawanda.
Yes.
Mr. Tawanda votes yes. Mr. Reamer.
Yes.
Mr. Reamer votes yes. Mr. Katz.
Yes.
Mr. Katz votes yes. Ms. Navarro.
yes,
Ms. Navarro votes yes. Mr. Rice.
yes,
Mr. Rice votes yes. Mr. Friedson.
Yes.
Mr. Friedson votes yes. Mr. Albornoz.
Yes.
Mr. Albornoz votes yes. Mr. Hooker.
Yes.
Mr. Hooker votes yes.
Bill 421 passes unanimously. Thank you, colleagues.